Oh, well, hello. You might be watching this video and saying, like, where's Ben? Why am I watching a video right now? Does he not care about us? Well, I'll tell you this. I do care about you, but I couldn't make it from my job on 149th and St. Anne's all the way down to the TEAK Fellowship in time. My job lets out at 4, so to get there would be a little bit quick. So we made a video. So this video would have been exactly what I would have done in person. The expectation is that you're going to code along and do everything that I'm doing in the video. And it'll be just like I was there. It'll be great. So what our lesson is today is we're going to be learning about how to make our computer think a little bit, how to make it have decision-making capabilities. Because usually when you use a computer, like you'll click things and something happens. Like if I click this button, something happens. Or if I do this, something happens, right? Users are able to interact with them. And really what the computer is doing is it has a conditional, which is if user clicks this button, then something happens. This screen appears. So we're going to learn how to code these conditionals, and yeah, we can do some pretty cool stuff with it. So here's what we're going to do. First, to start our code, I'd like to just have our mouse position show up on the screen. So we'll say mouse x plus, comma, plus mouse y, and then we'll put that at 2020. And so we should see where our mouse is at all times. And this will just help us a little bit with today's work. So this, remember, is the x coordinate and y coordinate of my mouse. The next thing I want to do is make my favorite thing, a giant ellipse. So it's going to be 200, 200, 200, which is, it's going to be in the center at 200, 200, and have a width of 200. I'm going to press play. There we go. So we're looking good. We got a great circle. We know where our mouse is. And what I want to do today is make this circle change colors depending on where my mouse is. What we're going to do is this. First, we're going to set up a fill. And normally we would do something like this. If I want this to be a blue circle, I'd do 0, 0, 255, and now I'd have a blue circle. But you might notice that the word I just used is that I want the color to change. And I might have said this last class, maybe it sunk in, maybe it didn't. But when you want something to change, you need it to be a variable. I can't change these colors, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to make our color a variable, which isn't too terrible to do. So follow me over here for a second. We're going to take out our fill just for now. And what we're going to do is this. We're going to make a variable. We're going to say let circle color. You could call this anything. We could say let cat mama color, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I could do this all day, but we're just going to make it make sense. So we're going to say let circle color. That's our variable, and inside of this variable we're going to store a color. So we'll say here, we'll say circle color in our setup, and this is where we initialize. And remember, first step is to declare, second step is to initialize it to a starting value. So we want circle to start at a color. And we're going to start it at 0, 0, 255, which is blue. Now, I just want to be clear here. We store colors in variables by using this, color. This way the computer knows to store these three numbers in. We know we're going to use it as a color. So remember, when you're doing colors, when you're making a variable store a color, you're going to use color and then put the color you want in. Okay, the final step is this. It's to use it. Declare. We're going to initialize, and now we have to use. So this time, instead of filling 0, 0, 255, which is a static number that can't change, we're going to put our variable in there. And if I put that here, nothing changes, which is good, because that just means that our variable is working, right? It's turning this circle blue. So now here's the fun part. Now we could actually make this circle start changing depending on where the mouse is. And we're going to do something called an if statement. So between my text and here, we're going to put our if statement, and we're going to say if mouse x is greater than 200, and here's what I'm just going to do first. I'm going to say this thing, console.log, what up, TEAK? Who knows? And what a console log is it shows up here in the console. So I just want you guys to see what happens here. So this is how an if statement works. You say if, then in parentheses, what you want to evaluate. So it says, basically, what do you want to be true for the next thing to happen? So if the position of my mouse, the x position of my mouse is greater than 200, then run this code. So when this isn't true, when this is false, this code between the curly brackets does not ever execute. When this is true, it will execute this code. So just to be clear again, this is what an if statement starts off like. And I'm just going to retype it. So you say if, parentheses, curly brackets. Okay? This is the starter for every if statement. What you put in these parentheses is what you want to be true, and what you put in these braces is the then statement, what you want to happen. What you want to be true, what to want to happen. So if my mouse x is greater than 200, well then I want to console log what up, TEAK. Oops, okay. Let's see if this works. So I want you to pay attention to this first number right here. That is the x position of my mouse. So if you notice in the console, nothing's happening. But as I move it, and I get closer to 200, look what happens when I get to 200. Boom, what up, TEAK? And you see it keeps saying it because my mouse is constantly over the 200 value. And if I go back, it stops. So it stopped doing it now. See, it's not going up. And if I go back here, oh, starts moving in, back less than 200 stops. But instead of console logging, let's actually make it change color. So what we could say is this. We're going to take our variable circle color, and we're going to say it's equal to the color of, well, let's make it red. So actually, let's make it green. So 0, 255, 0. And so now what happens is if my mouse is greater than 200, or if my mouse X position is greater than 200, then I'm going to take what's stored in the circle color and I'm going to change it to the color of green, right? And then when it goes to fill my ellipse, well, guess what that color is now? It's green. So let's try it out. So I'm going. I haven't meet, it's false. My mouse is not greater than 200. My mouse X is not greater than 200. Keep looking at that number. I go, watch, boom. And now it's green. Cool. But the problem is it's not going back to blue. And that is a problem, right? Because we want our mouse to go, this is kind of like now it's always green. Not very cool. So we want to make it actually turn back blue. How do we do that? Well, there's two ways. We could write another if statement, right? We could say if mouse X is less than 200, then turn it back to blue. But an easier way to do it is to go like this. Instead of just making another if statement, only two things that can happen, we'll just say this, else. So this means when mouse X is not 200, in the other example, what we could say is we're going to turn our circle color equal to color, and we'll put it back to blue. 0, 0, 255. Press play. You notice now we go to 200, and when I'm not 200, it executes the else statement. Okay, so that's else means when this thing isn't true, do this other thing. So when it's greater than 200, green. When it's less than 200, blue. Pretty sweet. So that is the lesson. The real thing you should be taking away about this is how to create your if then else statements, and also how to store colors in variables. That is like the two skills you should have walked away with. So if, what you want to be true, and then in the curly brackets, what you want to happen when it is true. All right, so here's what you guys are going to do. I'll put this in Google Classroom so you can see it, but you guys will be doing this exercise. I want you to look at this sketch and I want you to recreate it. So this is what I just made. What I want you to try to do is recreate this, code it yourself. So look what happens. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun here. But the goal is to recreate what you see here based on today's lesson. This is not your homework. This is just a practice exercise. All right, peace out and good luck.